Right, okay, so it's the 1st of February 1922, 100 years ago today. The past few years at this point have been a tumultuous time in Scotland and the UK at large. The Great War ended, of course, in 1918, and that saw the deaths of over 100,000 Scottish soldiers. And then immediately afterwards there was a surge of deaths related to the import of the Spanish flu pandemic, which is something that none of us can relate to.
Yep, can't imagine.
The following year saw a massive worker strikes as they were campaigning for a 40-hour working week, which is something Americans can't relate to.
Yep.
And the collapse, pretty much, or the beginning of the collapse of the British shipbuilding industry. Of course, Glasgow, Liverpool, and cities like that were almost fully dependent on this industry, and this led to the start of the decline, which would last for nearly 100 years for these cities. So there was sinking into a lot of unemployment. A lot of soldiers that came back were promised things and they weren't given them by the government. There was a lot of unrest. British tanks and guns would be sent into Glasgow that year, and that year also the Irish Rebellion would kick off, the 2-year War of Independence for Ireland from the British Empire. Also around this time we started seeing the first handful of professional women entering fields such as engineering, architecture, law and medicine. In 1920 there had been a large prohibition movement in Scotland, and they held a referendum for prohibition, which failed, surprisingly. And then in the following year we saw more worker strikes up and down the country, and in Scotland in particular we saw miners and dock labourers join forces against working hours, pay conditions and the like. Things started to calm down as we enter into 1922. What would happen is, this is when Scotland's population would peak for quite some time, but then a mass exodus would begin, and nearly a fifth of the country's population would emigrate to Canada and South Africa and other Commonwealth countries. So just now is February in the Scottish capital, the Royal Borough of Edinburgh. Frost coats the hardened ground, and the winter winds blowing strong from the North Sea, sending chills through the thickest of fur coats. Edinburgh Centre is split in two between the Old and New Town areas, with a strip of Princes Street Gardens acting as a natural border. At the southern Old Town is home to the Royal Mile, a stretch of ancient road leading from Holyrood Palace, which sits at the foot of the volcanic formation known as Arthur's Seat, and this leads up to the top of Castle Hill, where Edinburgh Castle itself sits on top of a craggy cliff. The streets of Old Town are a twisting wind of medieval cobblestone and archways. This forms a confusing labyrinth to visitors and a natural boring to the city's locals. Here the infamous vaults form a series of underground passageways littered with the city's forgotten and filled with stories of haunting apparitions. To the north lies Newtown, overlooked by the castle, and it is home to the fashionable Princes Street, as is pictured. This street is filled with boutiques and department stores. The surrounding streets here are modern and arranged neatly in a grid, which was designed as an 18th century solution to Old Town's medieval mess. The buildings on this side are well-ordered Victorian architecture. The apartments tend to be lavish and filled with all the modern conveniences, including electricity and indoor plumbing. At this point, the past couple of years, Newtown is extended down to the Leith Docks at the Firth of Forth, which is the coastal inlet for Scotland's southeast. At night, the city centre streets are illuminated by blinding electrical arc street lamps, which stand tall and out of reach. They fizzle and hum until they inevitably burn out, soon to be replaced by filament bulbs. The harsh artificial photons given out by them give a stark and immediate edge to the darkest of Edinburgh's shadows. Now, your characters all knew a man named Jack McKee, and you knew him well. He may have been a family friend, a relative, or a mentor, but until recently you had kept in contact, most likely through letters. He was getting on in his years, so the news of his death wasn't completely unexpected. However, the day following his funeral service, you each received a letter or telegram from a lawyer in Edinburgh. This letter asked you to attend a reading of Jack's will at the office of Mackay and Morrison on Barony Street, and that'll be on Monday morning at 10 AM. So Monday morning 10 AM, you'll each be in the waiting room of this lawyer's office, and if we go around and everyone can describe their character's appearance. We'll start with you, Alan.
I think I would probably have like a fairly decent suit on, but not like massively expensive. But I think I would be well turned out in a decent but slightly out of place looking, slightly country boy looking tweed effort with a flat cap as well. I don't know.
So
I'm tempted to say I would have a walking stick as well, just for the sort of I would rather be in the country kind of effect, but I don't know. I guess walking sticks were fairly common back then, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think we'd probably have a walking stick.
Did your character serve in the army? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had some sort of limp or trouble with a hip or something like that, you definitely have that. If you're a countryman, you might just have a walking stick for testing the ground when you're walking around the fields.
That's what I was thinking,
yeah. Okay, Cheezer, your character?
Very plain, forgettable, kind of a small, pudgy woman dressed in a dark gray, like a suit with a close hat.
Okay, Callum?
Paul is a really tall guy, quite a bit of a beer gut, strong eyes, doesn't hold conversation very well. If anyone's seen Hot Fuzz, I'm trying to remember the name of the actor, but the guy that works in co-op and goes yarp, that pretty much sums up Paul to a T. He enjoys conversation from the other person, mostly because he appreciates someone's talking to him, not that he follows the conversation. Big, burly guy is nice and jovial. Definitely not all there mentally, though.
So while Jesus Susan is sort of maybe like a meek, unassuming kind of character,
Yeah.
is taking up a little space on these chairs, your guy would be sitting down taking up like 3 times as much space.
And probably totally socially unaware, so he'd probably just be like trying to say hello, and by sticking his hand straight out just to shake hand, and not understanding if you're too shy to put it out to shake it back kind of thing, and maybe then takes your hand and shakes it, because this is the era of that kind of invasiveness is kind of allowed.
And Laura, do you want to describe your character?
Oh, sorry. So she's petite, she's friendly, she's kind of like two-piece suit, so sort of hard-wearing, sort of beige outfit, and she's wearing a toque hat.
Each of you'll make your way in at whichever time ahead of the schedule. The secretary is a blonde-haired woman, quite young, quite plain, with a green dress. She'll instruct you to wait in the waiting room. The walls of the waiting room are this deep green colour. The wood, in contrast, is a sort of very dark wood with a lacquer finish. The place is very clean. There's a clock swinging back and forth on the wall across from you with brass ornamentation. You'll see one gentleman who's quite elderly looking. He's dressed almost in Victorian clothes. They're quite old looking, with a purple waistcoat and a little handkerchief and a little watch hanging off the side. He doesn't pay you any attention as he goes by into one of the two offices that are linked to this room. At 10 o'clock on the dot, however, another man, also finely dressed but in a more modern sort of suit, will pop out. He has grey hair, a finely kept grey beard, deep blue eyes, and a kind of pleasant manner, pleasant smile. He's kind of average build, and he'll introduce himself as Alistair Mackay. I'm assuming you're all here for the reason of Jack's will. If you just make your way into my office, and I'll take care of this. So he's going to office and you take your seats around the table. As I said, I'm Alistair Mackay. I'm the trustee of Jack's estate, and you've each been mentioned by name in his will. He's going to pass you around a copy of the will for you each to look at, which I'll put up on the screen now. He then clears his throat and begins to read. So, I, John McKee, also known as Jack, of 12 Worston Drive, Edinburgh, leave this will and testament as my sole legal disposition. He leaves his burial details, he names the executor, and then the definition of the estate. And then for the part that actually concerns you guys. I give the following specific legacies. My inherited property of 13 Blackford Hill Grove, Edinburgh, formerly bequeathed to me by the passing of my dear friend, Mr. William A. Scott, I leave in equal measure to my closest friends, Mrs. Mildred Potts, Miss Susan Reed, Mr. Finlay Young, and Mr. Paul Cummings. Providing that they survive me, if they should not outlive me, their eldest child should take substitution of their share, although I would not ask a substitution to take it upon themselves to clear the property of its problematic repute. And then Mr. McKee leaves a personal note for you to all hear. It reads, My friends, please find this property to your satisfaction and make use of its value. Neither I nor old Billy could profit from its ownership, owing to its reputation. Please take it upon yourselves to remove the stain of infamy placed upon it, to banish the supposed evil spirits therein, and make profit from its sale to your own benefit. I trust in each of you to uphold this request, and apply yourselves adequately in its investigation. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. McKee has left your property that neither he nor the previous owner were able to make use of. He advises that if you want to sell or lease the property in some manner, you would have to resolve the reputation that it has gained, proving that it is not in fact the home of evil spirits, and dispel the superstition that surrounds it. After which you are free to do as you wish to the property. Having viewed the property myself, I can tell you it is in mostly good condition. It will require some work. It's in a good neighbourhood, a suburb of Edinburgh, and should fetch, I would estimate, at least £1,000 on sale. Do any of you have any questions?
Did he leave any details about this reputation that he mentions?
It just so happens I actually grew up in Blackford. I can tell you that the house is... One of its previous owners was rumoured to be a devil worshipper or heathen of some manner, who was eventually driven out by the locals. He then supposedly put a curse on the place. Ever since then, people have reported strange occurrings and the blame for any incidents or illnesses or mishaps that have happened to the owners and their families has been placed on them and linked to this reputation.
Do you know if have there been any past attempts to resolve this situation? I mean, I always hardly like to say, but would anyone have tried the services of an exorcist?
I'm not sure what attempts Mr. McKee had made. I don't believe he came into ownership of the property until his later years. The previous landlord, again, I'm not sure. I do know he was a landlord of several properties throughout the city. I'm sure he would have took some measures against trying to amend this.
So we won't be able to just sell it because nobody will buy it.
Basically, yes. You need to look into the past and see if you can clear it up.
Do they know who owned it before John McKee?
A Mr. William Scott. The house will have had several previous owners to that. I'm not sure of the details of who they are. As trustee and executor of the will, I will hold on to the deed for the property until such a time as you want me to put it on the market or treat it otherwise.
What's the street like? What are the people like in the area?
Blackford is a southern suburb of Edinburgh at this point. It's a upper middle class kind of area.
Can we arrange to see the house?
It's yours. You can visit it anytime you like. He gives you a set of keys for the house.
Last question. What is the crime rate in that street?
The crime rate for Blackford Hill Grove would be quite low. Being an upper class area, it has regular constable patrols from the police. Although I would not be surprised if those constables kept their distance from this particular address. It sits at the far end of Blackford Hill Grove.
What are the gardens like? Is there any trees?
From when I went to look at the property, there were a number of trees in the garden, overgrown. It's not been well kept at all. If you were interested in researching the previous owners, you could perhaps look at the Edinburgh Library or the City Archives. I'm sure digging around you should be able to find something on them there.
Perhaps we should go and visit the house first, then, we could perhaps look at the library for any further details after that.
I'd quite like to see the house.
I
Does anybody drive?
yeah, you could walk there quite easily. It's
Okay.
20 minutes, 30 minutes walk at the most.
Let's order an Uber.
Well, there are trams, but obviously they're like the main roads. They're not going to all the side streets.
I do quite like the idea of like putting in for an Uber on your smartphone and then like a person car turns up with like the Uber sticker on the back of it.
A rickshaw. So you want to go to the house first?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's find out this reputation firsthand.
Sounds good to me.
You head down into the more affluent area of the southern suburb for Blackford, near Blackford Hill. And when you come to Hillgrove, you can see the street doesn't have many houses on it. There's maybe 22 dozen houses on it. At the far end is number 13, where you're headed, where the house sits on its own, the garden overgrown, the trees overhanging. It's almost as if the other houses have consciously moved further away to leave it on its own.
Oh, it would be number 13.
We have some interesting gardeners out here.
So we could get the number changed to 12A.
I'd like to get some tree samples, as in scraping of the trees.
Sure, I mean you can take out a pocket knife and scrape some of the bark off if you want. Take clippings.
I shall do that right now.
Okay, so Mrs. Potts starts to mess around with the
Scrape
trees
the
in the garden.
trees.
What do the rest of you like to do?
There's a residue that I haven't, a sort of distinct residue that I haven't seen before. So this is very new information.
I just stroll by her and kind of eye her and then just walk on while she's still talking. and stroll around the house.
So the driveway is white gravel, which has been overgrown. There's weeds poking out of it everywhere. The windows are dusty and smeared. Many of them have thick curtains drawn on the inside. Some of the windows are like nailed shut from the outside.
From the outside.
Yes.
Well, that's odd.
Are any of the windows like? Is there enough of a gap to be able to see in through any of the windows without actually going inside?
It's dark inside, but you can certainly see in through some of the windows. The rooms look sparse. There's some tables, chairs, the odd bookcase. There's not much in the way of furniture.
It seems as though Jack wasn't living here now.
Who do you think boarded up the place? Do you think Jack done it?
It's a good question.
Do we have keys? Can we go in?
You certainly do
I was
have
gonna
keys.
I was gonna say, could Paul try opening the door before it, see if it's still locked?
Yes, the front door has been locked. A sturdy set Victorian wooden door with a brass handle.
I don't know about anyone else, but I'm getting this really tense build up in the music as we're going towards the door.
So
Yeah, there you go.
as Paul's trying to just force the door open, I gently not push him aside, but edge him aside and put the key into the lock.
With a little bit of effort, the key turns, clicks, and the door slowly creaks open inwards. Mrs. Potts.
Are you, milady?
Mrs. Potts, did you want to say or do something?
I opt for Paul to go first, as in walk in first.
Yeah, I stand back and nod for him to go.
Very well. I'll check to see if there's any trouble. But the door was locked. You all saw that. And Paul will just sort of walk on in.
So you step inside, and in front of you on the right is stairs going upwards. On the left hand side, the passage continues towards the back of the house. There's an open door to your left, and there's an open door to your right. The floor is bare floorboards. The panelling is worn and wooden.
Paul is sort of rocking his heels a bit and sort of yells out, "Is there any squatters about? I'll have you know you're no welcome in here if you are."
There's a man who's lived.
We sort of peep an ear out.
There's just
Like,
silence.
we checked. If you say now, no trouble will come to you. You can just leave and they'll be fine.
The only sign of movement is the disturbance of dust sort of floating down in the mass of daylight.
Oh, it seems fine, ladies. Right, let's go on. And he'll just go through the left to see what's happening.
So this takes you into the front room, which has a table, an overturned chair, and an empty fireplace.
It's in a bit of a state.
Just right the chair. Looks like whoever it was left in a hurry. Couldn't do the right and honourable thing of putting the chair up properly again. I mean, if you knock over a chair, you put it back up.
There's a layer
Do
of...
they have a work desk there? Is there any sort of type of work desk?
not in this
Yeah.
room, that you can see. There's a layer of dust covering the table. The chair doesn't seem to have as much dust on it.
Think that chair is older than you, Paul?
Didn't know. It's not got as much dust on it, as he sort of brushes off the little bit that's left. I mean, if you look around, everything's covered in it. This one, not as bad. Do you think he just didn't clean up after himself?
Does the house have electrics?
Does it have like some sort of gas lighting or?
Yeah, the lighting will be gas in nature. So like a dial to turn them on. Or to allow the gas to seep through, assuming the gas hasn't been turned off.
Paul, do us a favour and turn on the lights. It's a bit dark in here.
Oh, well, Paul will head over to check the lights to see if they're lightable.
There's a short hiss of gas and then it stops.
As in, like, while it's on, it just like hisses and then just choop, and it's like, as in it's run out.
Yeah, as if you just like let the last gas out of the pipes.
There's no chance of getting any lights on here from the system. Looks like it's been cut off by the board.
There is a closed door at the far left of the room.
I'll go check around and see if there's any sort of lamps or torches.
I
Best
have
place
a
is
torch.
that door.
I was going to say I have a torch in my bag.
Well, Missy, get it lit.
So the flashlights at this point you held vertically, and they had the little bulb on the top. I mean, you can take out and turn it on, it's not a problem.
I've already turned it on. I'm just looking at the corner that's quite dark.
I mean, are you studying? Are you looking around for things?
Is there any pictures that we can see in the house?
Not in this room. You can see marks on the wall where there was pictures hanging previously.
Well, I'm gonna wander toward the closed door.
So
Have a look.
it's a fairly unremarkable interior door.
What about the floorboards? Is there anything, is there any secret passages or anything like that?
So
Now I can
roll.
see her. She's smacking her heel against all the boards.
Right, so Mildred, if you can roll 2d6. Since you're clever. Yeah, you bang the floorboards, you get down your hands and knees and look around with your torch. You don't see any secrets or hidden things.
Does it all seem fairly undisturbed? There's not been any sign of like a struggle or anything like that?
Apart from the chair, everything looks undisturbed, yeah. Susan, do you want to do anything with the door?
I'm gonna open it.
Dun dun dun.
The door opens quite easily, and in the other room is presumably the dining room. You can see a dining table with 6 chairs.
What's displayed on the table?
Wait a minute, she's the one that goes in the room. On the dining room table, there is one plate that's laid out.
So we're all just sort of meandering around the house, but Mildred's like an excited little child.
I can't help it.
Kind of, she's like, woo, woo.
She's looking. It's like Holmes under the hammer or something like that. She's looking around, going like, "Okay, what needs work?"
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. I was like, what was under the wall?
Can't help but be inquisitive. Is there any plants in the room, or?
There's no plants, no. There's like ivy that's grown up over some of the windows on the outside, but there's nothing on the inside.
Is this room covered in dust as well?
Half of the table where the plate is not placed looks very dusty. The other one looks as if somebody's maybe wiped their hand across it a couple of times.
Is there any like side tables or anything like that?
In the dining room there'll be a small side table at the corner, yes.
Does it have drawers?
No, it has an old gas lamp sat on top of it.
Is it a portable one or just a stationary?
One that you would just like sit on the table and have lit to help light up the room.
Ah.
Well, I'd just glance around at the room and look for any other doors.
So there's once you come in through that door on your right is like the table and stuff in the centre, and there's another door to the right of that across the where the hall ends. So you can cross the hall, and on the other side there's another door. This door is ajar as if it's already been opened.
Well, I'll walk up to the other door and just sort of push it open, but not go in.
Okay, as you push the door and it slowly swings open, you're hit with a smell of like foul, rotting vegetables.
Oh,
Well, I guess we know what happened to supper.
Can
Is
we
there
see
any
it?
side drawers or anything like that? Tables in there?
Would you say, Alan?
I was just going to say, can we see into the new room?
Yeah, in the kitchen is going to have counters on one side, an old stove, a little circular table in the centre, some cupboards around the sides of the room. There's a door on the right hand side, which is wide open, and that's where the smell is worse.
I'm gonna check the cupboards.
You open up one of the double cupboard doors, and something scurries away into the corner of the cupboard through a hole.
Can I roll the dice to see what it was, or?
It's clearly like a mouse or a rat.
Okay.
I think I would like to put a hanky over my mouth and nose, and then kind of inspect the far door that the smell seems to be coming from.
So this looks as if it's been the pantry. It's just full of shelves. There's a couple of sacks of rotten veg in the corner, covered in all kinds of mould. There's some rotten meat in one of the shelves that's covered in maggots. Your presence as you step into the pantry disturbs the rodents that were in there, and they'll scurry off into corners through holes and gaps in the wood.
someone left here in a hurry.
But on this floor, the only place you haven't explored was the door to the right when you came in initially.
I'm gonna start heading back that way.
I'll follow you.
So in this room, there is a small washroom closet on the left. There's a dresser closet on the far left side. And then there's a bookcase, which is empty. Since you've gone all the way around now, you'll notice there was in the kitchen there was a stairway that goes underneath the stairs that were going upwards.
So there's stairs going down and going up.
Yes, aligned with each other. I'm trying to get the image up, but my mouse is just not playing nice.
You know, I didn't mention it earlier, but the house looks so much like the Addams Family house.
Looks eerily like the house I grew up in. Well, I don't consider myself too delicate, but I would rather not go downstairs. Paul?
Yes, me lady.
Be a dear and have a look down there, would ya?
Oh, I'll do me best. If you can just get the light, I'll just have a proper look.
As you move to go towards the stairs leading downwards, there's a very definite sound of a foot creaking upstairs.
Oh, look, I gave him warning. Look, I think I should better go up and see about that. See if it's squatters. I gave him warning.
Probably just an animal or something, but
Was it heavy-footed or light-footed?
Heavy-footed.
are there bears in Scotland?
Not in this
I think
time period, no.
The biggest wild animal we'd have is probably a feral dog at that period. But yeah, I think Paul would probably get distracted and go up to see what was creaking.
So you go up the stairs, there's a door on your right when you get to the top landing. And then there are 3 doors on the left. And then if you go right around the stairs, there is another door.
Well, you'd have a look and he'd try to figure out which room he was below when he heard the noise.
It would have been almost right above you, so it would have been the door immediately to your right.
Sorry, she's trying that. So he'd knock on the door pretty solidly, go, right, look, if you're a squatter in there, I gave you fair warning. Now I'll need to kick your arse out the door. Now, if you say something, I'll make it a genolian.
There's no sound from the room.
Right, I gave you warning. And he opens the door and walks straight in.
Is everyone else coming up the stairs behind him?
I think I would reluctantly be following behind just to try and offer some kind of support.
I'm not. I'm just standing at the bottom of the stairs.
Me too. I'm too chicken.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, all he knows is it's just a house.
Yeah. Okay, so you storm into the room. This was clearly the master bedroom. You can see a writing desk. You can see a bed frame, complete with the coils, the springs. There's a window that looks to me kind of half open. And one of the shutters starts to flap backwards and forwards.
It wasn't a footfall, it was the shutter slamming back and forth.
The room door slams shut behind you.
And Paul sort of stares at the door into the shutters.
Something starts to drip from the ceiling beside you on the floor.
He looks down at the drip. Does it look like water?
No, it looks like blood. It begins to pool on the floor and sink through the gaps in the floorboards. More blood starts to drip down in the corners of the room.
As in, like, more, like, areas are dripping?
More areas, yes.
Oh, this isn't good. So he'll start slowly looking up to the roof.
A little drop of blood just hits you in the forehead. As it does so, the bed springs up vertically. Do you want to roll fitness?
Yes. Which will be 2d6.
You have advantage, don't you? Do you have the dodge skill?
I do indeed.
Okay, so roll 2d6.
Give me a second.
You're able to
5 and a 3.
leap out the way just in time as the bed flies vertically, standing up across the room and smashes into the window, crashes right through it, and tumbles outside. You just get a bad scratch in your left hand side from one of the springs.
What in the hell's is going on here? First there's sort of iron leaking in and the bed flies over?
Everyone else just
Sorry.
heard like a slam and then a crash.
I think I'm trying to think what was it. He's gonna try and look to see if the room's falling apart, see if there's like a sort of a leak or something like that.
The blood.
Is the room falling apart? Is there something going wrong?
Once you kind of look around after that's happened, there's no blood, there's no dripping. The room looks exactly as if it did when you came in, minus the bed and the broken window.
Did the rest of us see the blood, or was it just Paul?
Yous weren't in the room.
Sorry. Paul will go to reach his forehead and just to feel to see if that drop that hit his head's still there.
It's just sweat from your brow.
Right. So the only sensible thing is the bed was positioned poorly and it fell out the window. Really violently. Aye, that makes sense. She'll go over to look out the window at the crashed bed.
You can see it lying flat down in the ground outside in the bushes and trees. What do the rest of you want to do?
I think I would have been kind of behind Paul at this point, so I would come in to have a look. But if I wasn't quick enough to see it, then I guess to me it would just look like the bed's falling out the window, and it'd be
Well,
yeah. I think it'd be.
First of all, if you're behind him and he was in the room, the door slammed shut in front of you.
Did you slam the door, or is there a window open? And why is the bed down there?
I thought that was you that closed the door. I mean, I was about to say something and the bed flew out the window.
Was there no one here? We heard a person?
You see, what I think is, right, there must be something funny in the air, right? Because I thought I saw, this iron water or blood falling. No, nothing. Just sweat off my brow. So I think there's something funny. I think the gas is leaking in here. Because I swear, dude, and I can tell you this, that bed lifted up and flew out the window like nothing. That doesn't make sense though. Most likely, it just sort of eye-opening the door, you slamming it behind me, because I think you're playing pranks on me. And then, that's how the bed just fell out, because you slammed that door too hard.
Do you not think it might be the fumes from your working in the mines? Did you have a hard day today?
What? Did you all hear that crash? Or am I the only one? You look out there. You see a bed falling down.
Sorry, so Mildred is now upstairs in the room as well, yes?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
I've
came
gone
up
up as well.
Yeah, you guys run up there and he's standing in the middle room. There's a big hole where the window was.
I just thought he'd knocked something over.
You look, I'm a bit strong. I'm not that strong.
The shutter at the window starts to flap furiously backwards and forwards as if it's caught in a gale.
Is there any wind?
No. Other shutters on the
odd.
rooms on the other side of the house you can hear also banging away.
Something's no right here. Right, well, let me through. Maybe someone's playing a prank. Let's go see if I can catch them in another room.
There must be someone else here to do that, surely.
Right, you stay with me this time. No slamming doors behind me, right?
I need to come with you, Paul, because I don't believe that that was the situation.
Well, if you don't believe me, you lead the way, Missy. I know what I saw.
I walk towards the room.
On the other side of the hall upstairs are 3 other bedrooms. They don't have any beds in them. They have an array of nightstands, cupboards, maybe the odd ornament lying on the floor.
I go and check the cupboards out. The first room.
You open up the cupboard and there's nothing there. You can see where things would have been hung on the bar across the top. It's just an empty cupboard.
See, Paul, there's nothing there. There isn't anything.
There's a creak as the cupboard starts to fall over towards you.
Ah!
Can you roll? Let's see what you've got. You don't have fitness. You don't have dodge. And so can you roll 2 dice for me?
She gets splatted by a cupboard.
Yes, the cupboard collapses on top of you. Please take...
Can I roll my luck?
You can add your luck to the roll if you want. It's the number 2 that you'd have to add it to.
Okay, I have added the luck.
If you add 2 luck, so spend 2 of your luck, and that'll take you up to a 4.
Well, you have 4 luck remaining.
As in 4 luck, yeah. I
No.
have left.
No, you spend 2 of your luck, so reduce it by 2.
Okay.
So choose
So
one of
what's
the choose one of the stress from the damage, which is A, B, C, D, or E. It's on the right hand side of the sheet. Which one you picking?
I can't find my sheet.
On your screen. It's the PDF I had open for you. You find it?
Nope, my sheet's gone. I can't see it.
It'll be in your downloads folder.
Okay, I'll pick A you freeze up for a moment in terror.
Okay, so just put A into the first box on the damage track. Okay, so it slams down, gives you a fright, and you tense up for a moment. It slamming into the ground is very loud and shakes the whole floor.
Jesus.
As this happens, all the shutters stop flapping.
There's something no right about this house now. Missy, you
think
need
the
me to help you get
wardrobe-
out of there.
I think the wardrobe was just made of wrong material. It's an old rickety wardrobe, so
See, now that's what I was saying about the bed, and you didn't believe me. And now look at you, you're all shook up.
Susan, can you help me up?
Yeah, I'll reach a hand down and help lift her up.
Thanks, Susie.
Maybe we don't poke around in the cupboards. We'll get Paul to do it.
Yeah, let's get Paul to do it.
Alright, get the man to do it.
Are you in a separate room at this point, Finlay, or are you in the same room with him?
Yeah, I think I would have come into the same room. I think I'd probably be feeling like we should all stick together for the best.
Out of the
That's
corner,
probably a good idea.
whoever's standing nearest the door, out of the corner of your eye, you think you see someone walk across the other end of the hallway.
Don't think it would have been Paul, he'd have been too focused to try to help lift up the wardrobe.
I might be far enough to the back. I would have seen it. So.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be Finlay. He seems to be the one being a bit more cautious.
I think I would just ask if anyone else had seen that, without associating this time.
So
I
there is
didn't-
bloody squatters. I think first things first would be to get our esteemed colleague out from underneath the wardrobe, Mildred.
Well, she's
And,
not underneath it because it
it's
didn't squish her.
Mr.
Yeah.
Ah. Right. Aye. Moan, Finlay, let's go and see about this guy. Right, and Paul will just go proper striding out in the direction that Finlay says they are.
I'll follow behind at a decent pace, but kind of being a bit wary about what we might encounter on the way.
So you storm into what's on the map, the nursery. You can see an old baby crib in the corner. A smashed up piece of shelving. And then an open door into a bathroom.
Right, you're in that bathroom. You're right out here this moment. And he proper just tilts round to go into the bathroom.
There's a iron tub here, filled with a very dark, brackish looking water, and just the occasional drip from the tap.
Is there a shower curtain over the bath, hiding half of it?
No.
Is it definitely water this time? It's not,
It looks like
ice.
really dirty water, yeah.
Finlay, you told me there was someone. There's nothing here, just filth.
Sure, I saw someone this time.
Finlay, you
Aye.
notice just a slight disturbance in the water, as if, you being a fisherman, you notice it'd be like a fish just below the surface.
Can I go and have a closer look to see if I can see anything?
Yes, you can. Can you roll your intelligence for me?
While you're over there, Finlay, just pull the plug on that, get rid of that water.
You are intelligent, so that's 2 dice.
So that 2d6 again?
Yes. There's just that widget on the left-hand side of the Roll20 you can click. Do you want to spend any luck to raise that? Making it a 4 would stop it being a failure.
So I need to raise it above 4 to make it not be a failure.
It needs to be at least 4, yeah. A 4 or a 5 is like a partial success.
Right. Oh well, I've got 3 plus 1, so if I'm on a 4, I'll just stick with that for now.
So you spend 1 luck to make it 4, yeah.
Or is it just the higher of the 2
Yes,
dice?
it's the higher of the 2, yeah.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll spend 1 luck to make it 4, yeah.
So you peer in closely, and you think you see the shadow, the flicker of something wriggling underneath the surface of the water, but when you're looking closer, you don't see anything untoward.
I could have sworn I saw something in the water there. This is strange, Paul. This is very strange.
You're overcome with the creeping sensation that Paul is just going to push your head into the water and hold you there until you drown.
I look around suddenly to see what Paul's doing.
Paul was probably reaching over to touch your shoulder at that moment.
You're not thinking of doing anything weird here, are you?
Hey, weird? Doctor, you've been staring at that for a minute. I just said to pull the plug. I was going to shake you.
I look back into the water again, but I'm guessing I'm not seeing anything.
Nope, like still.
I very cautiously pull the plug. In fact, can I reach the plug to get it out with my walking stick? You know, if it has like a crooked handle.
Yep, you could shove that in there.
Yeah, I would like to use the crook of my walking stick to pull the. Presumably the plug would be in a chain. So.
Yep. You easily hook it around it and yank it upwards, and the plug comes out of the water. The water level doesn't change.
Oh, goes to figure. The plumbing's blocked. That'll be why it's... Why is it not flooded? It's sort of... Paul will have a look at the floor to see if the floor's wet or if it's just the tub.
The floor is perfectly dry.
I mean, yeah, that was dripping, wasn't it?
It seemed to be dripping.
Well, if it's dripping, how's that not flooded over? Oh, this house is weird. Especially since its plumbing's all blocked up.
Susan Cheese, are you still back in the other bedroom?
Yeah, I'm taking photos, because I've got my, my camera, so I'm taking photos, so, of like walls and stuff.
I'm just lurking in the bathroom doorway.
While you're in the room on your own, Mildred, a crow lands on the windowsill of the closed window and just like sits there staring at you.
It tries to say nevermore, but it's a crow, not a raven.
I take a picture of the crow.
Obviously, you won't be able to see your photographs until you develop them. The crow doesn't seem bothered at all and just stands there.
I'm going into the hall to take photos as well, just to see about what damage there is.
You notice in the hall, again, there is gaps in the wall where you'd expect to see paintings or portraits of some sort. But there are none. You can see the hole in the wall where a nail once was pinned in to hang something. And again, you hear that creaking footstep from the master bedroom.
Susan, do you want to come with me to the master bedroom?
As long as you don't mess about with any wardrobes.
I think we should
No
all stay
messing with the
together.
wardrobes.
I'll follow her.
You both step to the master bedroom. There's a broken window, space where the bed was, nightstand in the corner, and the large double door built-in cupboard on the right.
I'm taking photos of the master bedroom.
As you hold up your camera, you feel something dripping on your head.
Is it water?
Are you going to look up or touch it with your hand?
I touch it with my hand.
It feels warm and thick to your hand.
I look down on my hand.
And
Look
it's
down.
dark red like blood.
Susie, we gotta get out of here.
The master bedroom door slams shut, and the walls all around you begin to bleed.
I think at that, I probably would immediately grab Finley. It's like, the girls!
The bathroom door also slams shut.
Am I seeing this?
Yeah, you're in the bedroom with her.
Sorry, Suze.
There's a crinkling sound as if someone is walking on glass by the window.
Oh my.
I'm standing at the door. I'm just standing back.
Are you trying to open the door?
Yes.
It feels as if someone big and strong is holding it closed on the other side. It gives just a little bit when you pull it, but not enough to allow you to pull it open.
Can I ask who the person is? Who they are?
Are you yelling, screaming, just asking
Yeah.
calmly?
Yeah, just asking calmly who they are.
There's no answer. Guys, you're in the bathroom, the door slams shut, and the water in the bath starts to bubble.
I think Paul will immediately try to strong arm the door open.
And you want to roll with your strength?
Can I help him in this one, or is that physically possible?
It feels like it's locked, like properly locked.
Well, I mean, I'm strong, so I'm guessing that would work for me.
Strong would be 2 dice, yes.
Would there be any bonus to me helping in this? Or?
I would give him +1 for you helping, but that's not going to help.
Fair.
Do you want to spend your luck?
No. I'm not burning all of my help on this one
You
thing.
bang and push and shoulder it. Finley starts kicking the door in unison with you. You're thudding on the door and it won't budge. Cracks begin in the panels of the door before the door even opens to you. As in, the weight of the attack's breaking the door before it'll open. What do you two women in the master bedroom do?
Can I get, my tools out and start chipping away at it?
Did you bring your archaeological tools with you to look at the house?
Yes, I did. I always have my
Okay.
archaeological tools with me.
Alright, and what about you, Susan?
She just wants to get out.
Okay, so what did she do?
I'm gonna go down the stairs and just go outside.
Well, you're in the bed. You're locked in the bedroom with her.
Oh, we're locked in. I'll just start banging on the door.
So you're banging on the door. You're picking at the door with your little hammer chisel. And then both of you feel a long, slender, cold hand slip over your shoulder and down to just touch the edge of your breast, and then it stops and the door clicks open.
I run out. Masher!
Could you roll
I
it?
run. I'm behind her running
Okay.
as well.
You're both intelligent, so can you both roll 2 dice? Yeah, yours are fine. You're freaked out, but you're not going to take like an actual stress. You gentlemen in the bathroom, at the same moment, the door just kind of like opens for you, and you both kind of like stumble through the doorway.
Oh, this house is falling up all over the place.
Ladies, are you there?
What time is it now? What's
I mean,
the
it's
time?
like 11 AM. It's not even noon. I imagine you guys can probably hear them like yelling as they run down the stairs.
Guys, I seriously think that we should go and find out who were the previous owners of this house. So maybe go to the library.
Being somewhere away from the house is probably a good idea at this point, yes.
Oh, probably need to get a horde of carpenters in here. Place is falling apart, nonsense, the plumbing's shot to pot.
What do you think, Suze?
I think I want to get away from this place.
As you're walking down the driveway, you hear a crow cawing in one of the trees.
That crow is freaking me out. How far is the library from the house?
Library's city centre, I think it's maybe... Again, it's like a 20-30 minute walk, maybe.
So what do you guys think of the house?
I understand the reputation now.
We need to find a good set of guys. We can get this house put back in order and probably get a new bed. And windy. And wall.
I
And
think we should
bathtub
really
and
consider
pipes.
an exorcism.
I say we burn it down and sell the land.
Whoa, hold up. £1,000 is a lot of money. That's what we get for the house as it stands. Imagine if we fix it up. Might even get... What's higher than 1,000?
What's higher than 1,000?
I mean, to give an idea of like what the difference is in that, like £1,000 is like 20 years worth of salary. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was going to say it'd be like a lifetime.
Right, so do you just want to all go to the library together? Or do you just want to split up and go different places?
I'm quite happy to go to the library. I have library research experience, I believe, so that suits me.
Do you all have the whole day of work? Yeah.
I make my own hours for the most part.
There's
No
a big
bodies
strike at the
waiting.
mine. There's not enough bodies there, so I'm better off being with you guys.
I've no lectures today, so
Finlay remains quiet.
Yeah, I think I would just sort of look a bit furtive at this point and say, oh yes, I make my own hours too.
So Edinburgh Central Library is located on the George IV Bridge, which I think is near Waverley Station, if I remember right. So it's
George IV. Isn't that though just off the Royal Mile? Ah, it's just off the Royal Mile.
It's just up from Waverley, isn't it though? Or down, I suppose, since it's south.
Down, but definitely uphill. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's not that long a walk. Just trying to see if I can picture the library, by the way. It's a grey rectangular building. It's, I think, if I believe right, it's on the end of like a row of buildings. They're the same kind of sort of grey stone, grey sandstone that a lot of Edinburgh's buildings are made of. It's a very popular and busy location. There's lots of people coming to and fro. There's probably a police constable at the doorstep so that people aren't loitering around on the stairs. When you go inside, you know, there's a bustling of people back and forth, librarians trying to keep people from being too noisy. Lots of people, you know, checking up books to take them out. But there is a librarian freeing, if you want to get her attention and speak to her.
What should we ask for as a means of...
maybe a register of everyone who's lived at the address.
Like a land register.
Yeah.
So the woman's dark hair, mid-20s. She's a very stern look about her. She's dressed very conservatively. Yes. May I help you with something?
This seems like Mildred's area of expertise.
Oh, sorry, guys. Could we have a register of everyone, a land register of everyone who has lived at this address, and I just give her a piece of paper with their address on it.
She slides the address back over to you and says the registers are on the first floor, section 12.
Okay, so let's go to first floor, section 12. So heading to the first floor.
Yeah, so you're going to spend like half the day searching through records and files and registers to try and find the information you're looking for. So if Mildred, you're intelligent, you have library use, don't you?
Yes. Do you want me to roll the dice? Yeah.
Yes, you will roll the 2d6.
Is there any bonus for the rest of us helping?
Yeah, I'll add one to the highest.
Is that 2d6? Yeah.
Yes, 2d6. So the 3 becomes a 4. So you will spend... You'll be there until like closing time to find the information you're looking for. Let's see which handouts these. daily.
Aha! This nearly closing time, yeah?
It will be.
Okay. Aha! Here is a list of all the property owned.
Well, no, you find a sale record, the particulars of sale, for the address. Pops up, as well as and it should be available for everyone in your handouts.
Ooh.
There's the risk of showing my own lack of culture. What does serious mean?
Serious habits and unsuspicious demeanor. Antisocial.
Okay. Sure.
Can we look into to see if he had oh, okay.
Yeah, there's an obituary for the person named. There's a court record of a court case brought against that person by neighbours. And of course this is the person listed as on the particulars of sale. Because he bought the property in 1835.
Can we find out whether that burial took place at home or not?
There wouldn't be a record of that unless like a church kept a record because there was a priest involved. There is also no record of the resolution of the court case.
We could try to
Do
find
we
out.
have-
Sorry.
I was going to say, do we have a record of like his parents?
No.
I mean, we could try to obtain his death certificate if we wanted to find out about who his parents were, but I was going to suggest as well we could try and find out if the vendor that sold the property might be part of an estate agents that still exists.
In that time period, there would still be like sort of, registers and births, wouldn't there?
Yes, there would be. Assuming that he was born in the city. Finally, if you want to look for the business, you can give me a 2d6 roll.
Sure, just a second.
You can't find any record of the estate agent.
Fair enough.
There is also the city archives that would hold, you've been informed, hold records of certain things that might not be kept in the library.
Sounds like that would be worth a try.
librarian. Oh,
How, what time does the city archives close?
you would need to go tomorrow because it's now closing time for the library. The archives would be open at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Sounds like there's nothing else we can do for now, but agree to come back tomorrow, assuming that nobody actually wants to go back to the house tonight.
Nope.
Does everyone want to stay at my house?
My place isn't far away, so I'll go home.
I don't really think my wife would appreciate me staying over with a couple of spinsters.
I think that being the case, I would find it improper to be alone with two ladies who are are unmarried. I presume.
One unmarried, I think. Isn't Mildred married?
Yeah, I'm married.
I think I wouldn't like to impose in any case.
So should we
Shall
meet
we
up tomorrow?
Shall we meet up at the city archive tomorrow at 9?
I'll be there sharpish.
Sounds fine.
Sounds good.
It's
Okay then.
it's certainly nighttime when you step outside this time of year. Bitterly cold. Carriage just goes by on the road. You're almost blinded by the light from the headlamps of one of the motor vehicles. But as Susan and Mildred go home that evening, you're constantly having to touch your shoulder where you felt that hand. It's just unnerved you. I mean, I imagine when Paul gets home, he's immediately preoccupied with family matters.
Yep, I think that's simply put.
And Finlay, you would have to get the train home again, yes?
Yeah, getting the train back. Probably returning to making up documents. I mean, I would have been saying, I feel it's improper to be staying with other people that I don't know very well, but
Yeah.
I would really just be making excuses so I can go back and get on with making fake documents.
So you hurry back to the train station to make the last train to Falkirk. Rather unusually, there's only a handful of other people getting on the train. And you find you have the whole carriage almost to yourself. As you're taking the long trip home, the carriage is rocking side to side with the faint illumination of the gas lamps. They fizzle out halfway there and you make the rest of the journey home in darkness.
This is a bit unsettling.
Other than that, the night is not unusual.
I feel slightly perturbed about the woman, Mrs. Margaret Hewing, in the article as well that died the day after, and that just keeps playing on my mind. As in, was there a connection?
Do you tell your husband this when you go home?
Yes.
He listens attentively as he waits for you to finish making dinner. But other than that, the night passes normally. You wake up the next day, and it's a lot sunnier. The clouds have parted, the sunshine beams down. It is not any less cold, however. The slight warmth from the sun has just meant that the streets, instead of being icy, are now an unpleasant slush of grit and dirt. And every passing carriage and motor vehicle sprays any pedestrians. So everybody is wearing thick, expendable outer coats. If they can afford them.
Do we all manage to get there in time?
Yes, unless you have a reason to not be there in time. The city archives are within the City Chambers building. It's number 253 on High Street. It's same kind of architecture as the library. At 9 o'clock, the doors are opened. These tall beech wooden doors. And not anywhere nearly as busy as the library was. There's just a few clerks here and there going about their business. A much more pleasant woman compared to the one you saw yesterday. Introduces herself as Mrs. Wallace, and she seems quite willing to give her a helping opinion.
Hello there. My name is Mildred. I'm looking
hello,
for.
Mildred, dear.
Hope you can help me. I'm looking for information on, like a death certificate on Mr. William Corbett, who was born on the 10th of January 1774 and had died on the 10th of January 1866. I also have a death certificate for Mrs. Margaret Hewing, who was born on the 17th of March 1833 and died on the 11th of January 1866.
Oh, well, certainly we can find you something like that, Jess. She hobbles, she's quite a plump woman. She hobbles over and takes you to an area on the rear of the building. There's a section where all the births are registered, and then a section where all the deaths are registered. Help yourselves if you need any. If you need some tea or something, just give me a yell. Just don't take anything with you.
Do I roll a dice to see how long it takes?
Yes, you roll the 2 dice again. Yeah, you're going to be there the better part of the day. You find Mrs. Hewings quite quickly. She's just registered as dying from natural causes. There doesn't seem to be anything untoward about the nature of her death. At least not from what you can gather in the certificate. In regards to Mr. Corbett, you cannot find his birth or death certificate. However, you do find a court record documenting the passing of his estate, and it names the executor that was in charge of the estate. From the note, it looks as if a certificate of death was shown at the time, but the certificate itself is missing.
I think guys will need to go to the Edinburgh Sheriff Court at some point tomorrow.
Might also be worth trying to find out, whose parish the Reverend Michael Thomas is in charge of.
Can we find that information in
Yes, there's
the
a
university or library or?
here in the archives. There is a registry of churches. Yes. You can find that Reverend Michael Thomas was registered as the founder of the Chapel of Contemplation, which has an address at Hermitage Drive in Blackford Hill. However, you can see that the church ceased to register in 1912.
Does the church still exist, as in, even though it ceased to register, is it still, the building still there?
Presumably. It is not but 10 minutes walk from your address on Blackford Hill Grove. Probably less than 2 minutes.
Who would like to come to the church with me to have a look around?
I'll have a look around.
I think we should probably stick together in this, so I'll come as well.
Mrs. Wallace also offers that if you're interested in looking for more information on events in the city, another place to check out would be the archives of one of the newspapers.
Is it? Can you access the newspaper archives as a member of the public at this point?
You can go into the newspaper building itself and ask to see the clipping storage, yeah. But if you want to check out two locations, you might want to split into groups to do that.
What are their opening times?
Regular opening hours. They might be open a little later because they obviously run evening editions.
So what's the plan? Do we want to go to the archives at the newspapers, or do we want to go to the church first?
Oh, we can go to the church at any time. Let's just do look at the newspapers while we're here.
Yeah, that's true. We can go to the church. It
Yeah.
won't have a closing hour.
That's what they say, the dead rest.
How far is it from where we are?
The Edinburgh Evening News has its HQ at Barclay House on Holyrood Road. I mean, nothing in Edinburgh city centre is that far away from each other. You could definitely make it there before closing time.
So shall we?
Yeah, I think we should go there first too.
Another office building is up on the second floor. It's not particularly busy. The clerk there, interested young man, spectacles. So, are you here for an interview? The four of you? Do you have business perhaps with one of our journalists?
we're hoping we could have a look at your archives for editions printed around the 10th of January 1866.
Oof, that's going back a bit. Yeah, if you head down to the basement, there's Mr. Bailey. He should be able to help you out.
Thanks very much.
You go down the flights of stairs down to the basement level. There is a... what's the description here? There's a rather unattractive, snivelling, spectacled man with greasy hair and a comb over. Sat behind a desk with just mounds of clippings and papers and books. Behind him is the whole basement full of rows and stacks of papers in cardboard boxes. The four of you come down the stairs and he looks up and gives you a sort of slanted head look. Yes?
Sorry to trouble you when you're obviously busy, but we're hoping to have a look at the archives for editions printed around the 10th of January 1866. Would you be able to point us in the right direction?
He slams his book shut that he's reading, puts it to the side. Well, I suppose you've got permission from upstairs for such a thing, yes?
We were just directed to come down here after having spoken to someone at the desk. Would we need to obtain official permissions first?
Well, this kind of information is very valuable, you understand. I can't just be letting anyone peruse. Are you members of the constabulary?
I work for the Edinburgh University as an archaeologist. I'm part of the Archaeo Society.
Well, that's very interesting, madam, but I fail to see what relevance it has here. I say, are you all from the university? Are you all here to teach us something today?
Paul can't help but sort of tilt his head, thinking he doesn't look like university folk.
These are my students, so we would like to look at some of these articles.
He has a look of incredulity at these people in their 30s claiming to be students.
Of yours specifically?
I cannot imagine any reason why you would come here with your students per se at this time of evening. But just out of my own curiosity, what information is it you're looking for?
We are looking for articles in the 10th of January 1866 in the Blackford Hill area in Edinburgh.
Well, I suppose I could perhaps make an exception this one time. And you say you're from the Edinburgh University? Yes,
Indeed.
Yes, I aspire to attend university once myself. And he starts to go on and on about his failed ambitions. Okay, someone want to give me a roll for library use with intelligence.
Do you want me to roll? Yeah.
I could do it. I have library use as well. But,
Yeah. So 2d6, Finley? And that 5 will be a 6 because everyone's helping, which means you get all the information.
I'm just imagining each of us holding the book one hand at a time.
Well, I mean, it's like boxes of clippings and stuff. So this is that one and that one. For everyone.
Do you have the article? Okay.
Yeah. I have to change permissions in each one. And here's the second one. And they are both related to the address in question. So we can see when
These
article.
be,
On you go.
yeah, I was just going to say, of course, these would be contemporary too. These would be actually from 1866. So I'm just thinking that the children would still be alive, presumably.
These would be after the 1866, yeah. Yeah, so these are just further reinforcing the reputation that the house has. So, what would you like to do now?
Is there anything else we can do here, or should we go and have a look at the church?
These are all the clippings you'll find here.
What time of day is it by now? I mean, would it be dark?
It is dark now, yes. It'll be a
Yeah.
late evening.
So what do you all think? Is it worth us going to look at the church tonight, or should we come back again tomorrow?
Probably good to come back.
Yeah, I think probably good to come back as well. So
Oh, you don't want to investigate the church at night?
That seems unwise.
I mean, you're not in a rush. There's no time limit. As you exit the newspaper building, There are 3 crows sat on a bench outside. They do not move when you get close to them.
Seems like rather ill.
A murder of crows.
If that's you for the evening, you can just go back to your homes. Nothing extraordinary happens. The next morning will be the 3rd, which is the Wednesday. Again, sun is out and is a little warmer. Not much above freezing. There's a little bit of sort of sleet overnight, so the ground is wetter and mushier and dirtier than before. Where does it use meetup?
Would we have agreed to meet somewhere near the church as well?
So the address of the church is Hermitage Drive, which is a short walk from the street that your house is on.
I decide I'm gonna drive there.
You're going to drive? You mean you're going to have
Yes.
your husband drive you?
You fancy
Yes.
Is that going to be after everyone else is due to be there?
At the same time, everyone's there.
Just show off.
So as the rest of you are there, trundling in the cold, pulling your coat up around your neck, covered in all the mush and slush, this motor vehicle, a Ford most likely, comes chugging along the street, and although you expect it to just pass you by, it stops right next to you, and Mrs. Potts exits the vehicle. The gentleman
Hello.
The gentleman driving the vehicle kind of just like nods his cap at you all and drives on.
Shall we?
So the building that what was once the church stands alone. It's mostly just the brickwork left. The place has obviously been set on fire at some point. Move you to this one. The foliage all around the outside of it is overgrown, but it doesn't move in on the building. It's as if there's a circumference around the building that nothing will grow.
Oof. They've been strong with a poison, haven't they?
It's a simple, small T-shaped kind of building, with the pews and the rafters burnt out. So, what do you want to do?
Does the church stand alone? Does it have any... Well, what I'm really wondering is it doesn't have a graveyard, does it?
It does not have a graveyard, no. There's a small grounds around it, which separates it from other buildings on the street. Probably like a black iron fence.
So is there any cupboards or anything, or drawers or anything?
Yes, there'll be like furniture and stuff that's there. If you want to give me a spot hidden roll. So that's your intelligence again, so 2d6. do you want to spend any luck on that? Or someone else can just have a roll if they want to search.
No, I don't want to spend the luck on it.
Sorry, Alan?
I think I have a decent amount of points in spot hidden, so I could
Yep, you're clever and you've got spot hidden, so you have 2d6 on you go.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Happy days.
First of all, most obviously, you find this painted on one of the walls.
I take a photo of it.
As you take the photo of it, because you're having to concentrate, stare at it for a amount of time, you feel a pressure, almost like a migraine building in your forehead.
Oof. I think I need to sit down or...
As you're kind of looking around Finlay, you notice that the floorboards, which are burnt and damp from just wear and tear, come away easily under one of your feet. And had you not been more careful, you might have fallen down. You kick the floorboard out of the way and you can see there's a basement underneath.
Does Mildred have the torch again?
Oh, sorry?
Would Mildred have her torch? Mildred, would you have your torch with you? Could you have a look down here?
He's asking, do you have your torch, Mildred?
Got to say,
Yes.
Al, you're
Yes,
incredibly
I have,
quiet. I've got you maxed out on Discord. I struggle to hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
kind of the
sitting
same,
too.
sorry.
Just a second, maybe. Is that any better?
Yes, look.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I have my torch there. So I just hand that to Finlay, my torch.
Okay, I will have a look down through the hole in the floor.
Sure. So you peer down, you can see that there was a stairway that led up, but it is collapsed. You can see what looks like two very old corpses, desiccated skeletons pretty much, slumped in one corner on chairs. And there is a number of cabinets and bookcases down here.
How easy would it be to get down there? By which I mean, if we went down there, would we be readily able to get back up again?
I mean, you've got a big guy there that could give you a putty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right here.
Oh well, fair enough. Which of us is brave enough to go down? Will I go down and have a look?
Probably, Paul would probably lead the way.
I was just about to say, Paul.
Yeah.
He is a defensive role in the party.
He is the literal tank of
He's
the
the
party.
tank.
I am going to advise, though, he didn't take his shotgun with him because why would he? He's going to a graveyard.
So Paul, it's quite a drop down there, and the floorboards and whatnot are definitely not sturdy. So do you want to just like leap down there, or do you want to try and dreepy lower yourself down?
Probably would have a look to see if there is an actual way down, because he would need to come back out of it.
So there was a staircase at the far side, which leads to a trapdoor, but the staircase is rotted and collapsed.
Should we go and get a ladder from somewhere and come back?
I mean, even if we find a sturdy pew, I'm pretty sure I could use that to climb back out.
Is there anything like that that's not been affected by the fire?
All the pews have been burnt, so they will be. You'll be taking a risk with it, whichever one you use.
How important is it that we go down here? And do any of you got any rope or something in case I need to get back out?
Yeah, that's probably quite reasonable. I think, you know, if we're thinking on going down there, we should probably get some sort of supplies first.
Alright, so you just want to go away and get some stuff and come back.
I think, yeah, again, like with the principle, it's not going anywhere. We're not in a rush.
Yeah, and it's still very early in the morning. Okay, you'll quite easily be able to find a shop to give you whatever goods you're looking for. These are inexpensive items, so together you'll be able to purchase them quite easily. As you just come back to the church, again there's 3 crows sitting on the roof of what's left of the building.
Oh, well, ain't that ominous?
Okay, so how are you using your new stuff to get down there?
I think maybe whoever's going down first should tie the rope to themselves, and then we can lower them down and then pass them the ladder.
Yeah, so I guess Paul will head down first.
So
I'm good with that.
are you just jumping down then, Paul, or are you going to drop it down?
I think he's gonna, like, if it's a rope, he'll tie it off and then go down. But if we've got a
Lower
ladder,
yourself
we'll
down.
put the ladder down. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so doing that, you don't need to roll for anything for that, you just lower yourself down there. You land on the ground below, which is moist and wet and soft. There's no flooring that's been laid down here, it's just dirt. There's the smell of mustiness in the air. So which way do it?
Whatever's on the left.
What, sorry?
Just trudge on through and see whatever's on the left. Is basically my idea.
Okay, yeah, so it's just a small rectangular room. There's the 2 bodies sat up in the chair. There's the rotten staircase. A bookcase with lots of mouldering papers and books on it. And a small cabinet with a twin door that opens.
So is it just Paul that's gone down?
Yes, at the moment.
Are you okay, Paul?
I think so. There's a couple of things down here. A cabinet. No sure if it's sound to go in. Kind of tempts to have a look in it though.
It's a short cabinet, I mean, it'll barely be waist height. Definitely not waist height for you.
Well, he'll bend down and give it an open up and see what's in it.
The smell of mouldy paper, fills your nostrils when you open it. You can see it's stacked with books and papers. They all look quite damp.
I'm guessing like probably Paul would just sort of tap a couple, like, you know, like as in just to see, and as he's moving them, they're just sort of falling apart to mush. It's just like, meh.
Mostly, by chance or fate, between a couple of them, one piece remains quite solid and dry.
So pull it out and have a look at it. Curious how this survived amongst all the damp mold.
This is the one you find.
Sort of takes a moment trying to look at it. Thinks it's upside down, rotates it, looks at it again. He goes over back to the ladder or the rope and stuff and tries to reach up, saying, I can't make head or tail of this. Either of you speak this language. To the rest of the party that's maybe at the top.
It looks like some sort of chant or...
I'm guessing would it be... I mean, is this Latin? Does this look like Latin?
Anyone with a cursory education level will know it's Latin, yeah.
Oh, what does it say?
Can we roll our dice to see?
Do any of your characters actually know Latin? I don't think any of you have it as a skill.
Yeah, I don't think I've...
Can we? What we can do is maybe take it to the university.
I mean, you can still roll to guess just on your general intelligence or education, but it's not going to be a very good roll.
Okay.
So you're educated.
Well, mine's not rolling that good
Well, yeah,
today.
you would only have gotten one dice because you don't have the skill anyway. But yeah.
I mean, will I have a go as well? Is that still
Yes.
possible?
So if you're educated, you're only going to roll one dice. If you're not educated, as a positive thing, then you just roll 2 dice and pick the worst.
So it's two dice in this case?
You're educated, but you're only going to roll 1 dice because you do not know Latin.
Right, got it.
Yeah.
No joy.
Apart from the words that are like obvious comparatively to English, you're not going to know what it says. Susan, do you want to take a guess? Unfortunately, they're both the same. So you can see it's some sort of chant to banish a demon. Chant or a prayer.
So is it a exorcist? Yeah, because it's like te exorcizos of. It looks like exorcism of the demon.
Yes.
Is there anything else down there, Paul, or is that the only thing?
You want to roll to investigate, Paul?
Yeah. I'm gonna guess it's like look for hidden.
Right.
Would
So
probably be the best.
you're dim, so you get to roll 2 dice and pick the worst.
Aw, I was hoping that I would be able to take advantage of my skill for that.
The skill stops it being an auto fail.
Fair enough. Right, 2d6.
So the 3, which is a fail, you could spend 1 luck if you want to make that a partial success.
You know what? Yes.
Something about the cabinet when you went close to it gave you a very unpleasant sensation in between your eyes and in the back of your throat. While that should normally make you feel repulsed and not want to go near it again, you feel yourself strangely drawn to it. And you find yourself putting one of your hands underneath it and feeling around. And you feel a thick book that has been fastened with a leather strap to the bottom of the cabinet.
So Paul will take it out and have a look at it. See if it's still, sound. It's not like falling away to the rot.
No, the parchment that this has been wrapped in has kept it in good condition. As you unfold it and look at the pages just cursory, your eyes are filled with pain and begin to water. Can you choose a pain from the damage track?
Choose a pain, okie dokie. I think this one makes the most sense as you lose your grip on whatever you're holding.
Yeah, you drop the book as you wince in pain and caress your temples and eyes.
Okay.
Are you okay, Paul?
Oh god, I must have a stigmata or something like that. My eyes are burning like there's no tomorrow. There must be something in the air down here. There's a book. I tried to read it, but something's got in my eyes.
It's the sound of the crows cawing above you all, and the rustle of wind in the trees and bushes around you.
Let me just try and find the book. I'll pass it up. You guys could try and figure it out. I need to figure it out. So just trying to reach for the book that fell down.
Yeah, you pad around in the wet muck, and your fingers getting muddy, then you grasp it.
And then head back up and just sort of reach
Finley.
to pass it back up.
They say, Finley, you've got your stick, don't you? So maybe open it with your stick and not sort of...
Yeah, don't touch it.
It's a
Sure.
book. Why do you need a stick? It's just something's got in my eyes.
I think we should be careful. There might be, the book might have been lying in some sort of,
Toxic.
deposit. Yeah, some sort of chemical or something.
Now you say that after I'm literally holding on to it.
One of
Do you want the book or not?
one of the two bodies that were sat slouched in the chairs at the side of the room, Paul, tips over and splushes into the ground.
Look, just take the book and let me get up, because this place is giving me the creeps. And if it's giving me the creeps, I want out of there. So I'm guessing hopefully someone takes the book from him,
Yeah, I'll very carefully take the book from you.
and you'll try and get back out.
Okay, so you are strong, you do not have climb. Oh, you do have climb, so you're going to roll 2d6 and use the highest.
5.
As you pull yourself up and over the edge of the floorboards, the rest of the floor above that room creaks, snaps, and collapses behind you, sending up a cloud of must and dust and muck.
Paul looks back. He sort of tilts his head, thinking here's a thought. Since he's a miner, he's used to seeing mine collapses.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything to give that this was about to collapse?
Not really, no.
So he's just going to look very confused.
Was Paul able to get out before the floor gave way?
Yes, just as he gets out over the top edge, the rest of the flooring that was covering it collapses.
Can we see anything down through the floor that we weren't able to see before?
Well, it's all covered in the floorboards and the muck that's crashed into it from above. There's nothing new though, no. You all have your eyes and your nostrils and your ears all filled with this foul mixture of dust and mould that's been thrown up from the collapsing.
Yeah, I think we should get out of here.
I second that.
Definitely.
Okay, so which one of you grabs the book?
I took it from Paul, so I'll take the book for now.
I imagine a minute there where we were just all kind of looking at each other.
You can...
I think we should take the book to the university.
Sounds like a good idea.
You know
Who's
Finlay
up?
from handling so many documents and whatnot, that the leather on this book feels kind of odd.
There's something strange about this book. It doesn't feel quite right.
Okay.
The university is open quite late, so why don't we take the book to the university now? I don't think any of us should be, staying with the book.
You can also see the title of the book on the front of it, Finlay. This is again in Latin.
So is it agreed that we go to university now? Yeah?
It's fine with me. I don't really want to hang on to this book for longer than is necessary.
Paul and Sus?
It seems fair for me, but can you see if there's any sand in my eyes or something? I'm worried that some of the spores or some dust got in them from that. My eyes are still stinging.
Do you still have the torch? Someone has the torch.
I think I had the torch last, so...
I think, I'll just have a look in his eye. Just got the torch, if they could pass it, then that'd be great.
Sure, I'll give you it back.
Thanks.
Okay, so he gets down on one knee, presumably. You get the torch, look in his eye. It's just the faintest sight of like a small black mite scurrying in the corner of his eye.
Oh, there's something in your eye. It looks like a mite.
Oh, bloody hell, I need to go to the doctors again. Oh, for God's sakes. That's
Can
what I
we-
get for going down the hole.
Can we try and get it out of his eye, or...
How would you propose to do that?
I think he'd probably more say, like, if you've got any whiskey, we'll drown it out or something. They'll probably dab that on his eye. It'll burn like fuck, but hey.
There's no...
Well, at the university, we could go past the medical department and get you sorted.
There's also no shortage of pubs you could walk into and get whiskey.
I think you'd probably try that first. Just head to the local pub and just try it, because, whiskey fix everything.
Yeah.
I think we're all in need of a little whiskey.
Seems entirely reasonable.
Sue's beverage of choice? What's your beverage of choice?
The Blackford Inn is going to be the nearest one you find. And it's sort of mid to late morning now, so it's fairly busy. And Paul, you can get whiskey for like a threepence, I believe.
Go. Just he gets one and he just sort of like dabs his fingers in and sort of rubs at the edges of his eye, kind of thing.
How old is the bar guy at the Blackford Inn?
Oh, he's early 50s-ish.
So he might know of some goings on in the.
Yep, so he's balding, grey hair around the edges, a large droopy moustache. Dark green shirt, brown overcoat, or waistcoat, and a little white apron.
Hello, good sir. Have you? How long have you been running the pub for, the bar for?
Well, I've been running it ever since I was old enough. My father had it before me, and his father before him.
Oh, very nice, keeping it in the family. Do you have anything regarding the church down the road that, you know, was set on fire? Do you know of anything that happened there?
He sniffs, gives like sort of suspicious eye. No, I don't know anything about that place. And if you know what's good for you, you wouldn't be asking.
How close were you with people around the neighbourhood?
I like to think I'm a friend to everyone around here.
Do you know if the Mackles did they drink here?
The husband did, aye. Victor, I think his name was. He's a quiet man, kept to himself much, but pleasant enough.
So have you spoken to Victor since?
Now, I know you're asking me, lassie. So I'm not going to speak about what happened to Victor. It's a damn shame, that's all I'll say.
What about his family, his children? Do you know what orphanage that they went to?
He rubs his chin, gets in closer to you. Look, class, it's only questions you want to be asking, really. But if you're interested in Mr. Mackle, as far as I know, he's been kept in Haddington. The asylum, that is. Yeah, who'd want to none?
Is that in Haddington? Yeah.
Well, it's in the name, isn't it, lass?
How far is that from here?
Haddington's a couple of miles outside Edinburgh.
Thanks for the chat. Could I get a glass of your house?
Get you a glass of house. It's like a shilling and sixpence, I think.
I tip him for the information. So, guys, what do you think of going to the asylum to see a Mr. Mackle at some point?
Yes.
Seems worth a try, but think, should we try and find out more about the book first? I don't know. What do you think is what would be the more pressing thing?
Let's find out about the book, and then hopefully the next day or two we can then go and visit a Mr. Mackle.
You could have a couple of you go to university, or one of you go to the university and the others go see Mr. Michael if you want.
I think maybe if we split up, as in me and Finlay can go to the university and Susan Paul can go to the asylum. Does that sound like a good idea?
I'm okay with that.
Okay with
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Then we can meet back up at the university if that's okay with the both of you.
Yeah.
Can't help but feel there's a bad idea somewhere, but I didn't know why.
How's Paul doing by this stage anyway? How's his eye?
The
Oh.
whiskey stings your eye, Paul, but I mean, you can't find anything or nothing seems wrong.
So it just seems fine to him
Yeah.
now. I think I got the wee bastard.
Right, well, good luck, everyone, and Finlay, will we proceed to the university?
Sure, you know better than me where you're going, so if you lead on, I'll follow.
Yeah, for sure.
So you two walk up to the university. Susan and Paul, there is a bus service, which is a motor vehicle, which sits about 12, 16 people. You can catch one of them to Haddington, and it'll get you there within half an hour.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Away we go, the dream team.
This is the East Lothian District Asylum, also known as the Haddington Asylum. Just off the main road outside Haddington is a very pleasant area with large grounds. There's a large former country house with stables. They no longer keep horses. There's a number of patients out in the grounds doing gardening, recreational activities. It actually seems quite pleasant. There's a horse and carriage that sits outside the main building, and you can see some of the orderlies, standing around watching the patients. There is a gate at the front, and there will be a watchman. So, what would you two like to do?
Cry in a corner. Susan, you might have a better way with words than me. You lead the way and I'll follow.
Yep. So, do we need to buzz in at a gate?
Well, there's a watchman at the gate.
In the gate. Okay. At the gate. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the big arched iron gate, as you would imagine. And when he sees you approaching, he'll put down his newspaper. Yes, how can I help you?
Hiya, we're here to visit someone.
Oh, that's a rare accent you've got, lass. Where are you fae?
I'm originally from America, but I've been living here for some time.
America? Wow. Why would you come over here?
Family things.
My cousin moved to America a few years ago. He says it's amazing.
So, about our fella that we want to visit.
Oh, yeah, what's his name?
Michael. Forgot his surname. DeMichael somebody.
Paul, do you want to chip in the name?
I forgot his name.
Yeah, give me a second.
I didn't write it down.
Was it Robert Barlow that we were looking for?
If that's the name you want to
Because I've got so many names and right in front of me and I've lost which one's which.
Right. Why doesn't Susan roll 2 dice? Because she's clever. And she ought to remember the name.
You'd think.
Oh, my thing didn't go down. You remember it was a Mr. Mackle. You can't remember his first name.
Yes, we're here to see Mr. Mackle.
Ah, Mr. Mackle. Are you a friend? Relative?
A friend.
Alright,
friend,
just hold on a second. And he goes in his little guard booth. You can see he has a telephone in there.
They've got all the fancy accoutrement thing. Is that the word? All the fancy things. Look at that, I got a phone and everything.
Alright, the doctor says you can see him, but he's having one of his days. His wife's here as well if you want to speak to her.
Oh, his wife.
Well, that may be fair bonny if we could.
Aye. It's Dr. Miller you're going to ask for at the door. And just be careful not to get too near any of the patients, it can agitate them. But they're harmless, mostly.
Mostly. Right, so we'll make our way in.
If ever there was such an ominous thing.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, so this place is very well planned, like I said, it's very pleasant, it seems very relaxed. It's not at all how a lot of people would imagine an asylum. And then there's a man who looks to be in his kind of mid to late 40s. Dark brown hair, brown eyes. Very well kept with a very obvious doctor's coat and a stethoscope around his neck, so everybody knows he's a doctor. Standing at the doorway. He seems to be like checking something off on a clipboard, which he passes off to one of the nurses and she walks inside as you approach. Ah yes, you are friends of Mr. and Mrs. Mackle.
Indeed we are.
Just here to share our best wishes.
Oh well, it's not common for them to have any visitors. I think the last was one of their children a few years ago. It's a shame for them. It's a shame. It's good for the patients to have contact with loved ones. Finlay and Mildred. So as you two go to the university with this book, which department are you taking it to?
Oh, we're taking it to forensics.
Okay, the criminal forensics section. And what's the purpose, or who do you know here? Like, what do you want them to tell you?
No, actually, swipe that. Can I take it to like what's called the sort of unseen arts, as in the sort of not philosophy. What's that? What's the name of that called again? When it's mythological.
So someone that's having an interest in folklore.
Yes.
Okay. So there's an English lecturer tutor who has a particular interest in folklore. Mr. Cadams.
Hello, Mr. Cadams.
And so he's just finished a lecture. He's wrapping up his notes, saying goodbye to some students when you walk in.
Hello, Mr. Cadams. It's me, Mildred.
It's me.
It's me, Mario.
Is this someone that you know quite well already?
Yes.
Oh, hello, Mildred.
Can we maybe go to your office? Me and I introduced Finley, my friend Finley. Could we have a chat to you regarding a certain book?
Oh, a book. How interesting. He shakes Mr. Young's hand. So he takes you into your office and presumably you produce the tome.
Finley, if you could give some background information about what has occurred today for this book, that would be great.
I'll sort of briefly explain that we obtained the book from the remains of a... I'm just trying to think how much information I would want to give away here. I mean, whether we ought to like be completely open about what we've been doing to get it, or whether we should try and keep something back.
Yeah, let's keep something quiet, but just say like we found this book. Title Liber Ivonus.
Yeah, I think we could always just say that we found the book in the house that we came into the possession of, and we'd like to find out some more about it. We don't need to mention that we've got... I mean, it's it's kind of true because we got it through that, but we didn't. We maybe don't need to mention that we got it in the basement of a church.
Okay, I mean that sounds reasonable enough.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
What kind of information are you wanting him to give you about the book? What aspects of it?
When the book was, the sort of age of the book, when it was like published and things like that.
If he could tell us if he understands anything about what it might be for as well, and I think I would maybe ask as well if he notices anything strange about the binding, because something seemed off to me.
Well, in regards to the age and the binding, it's difficult to tell. I mean, by the structure and the type of binding and the form of Latin that's been used here, this would suggest something that is maybe 1800, 1500 years old. But the wear and tear on it, I mean, it's almost pristine for something that age. And you found it just in a house? Was it in some sort of sealed container?
We found it in a drawer in the basement.
Oh, well, in those conditions, unless it was particularly dry and sealed, I mean, this should not have survived in that kind of condition at all. You can tell the leather binding here. This is human skin that's been bound in. It's not entirely uncommon for some volumes of that age. But yeah, the fact that it's in such pristine condition, this is a very rare item indeed that you have.
Can you maybe read any of it, like read a passage from it
So
to
he
give us a bit
opens
of
it and he
understanding?
starts looking through it, and you can see him like rubbing his head and wincing his eyes and rubbing his eyes. But it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been doing classes all morning. My eyes are kind of failing me. And it seems as if he's struggling to focus on it. There's a lot of things that don't really make sense what I'm reading here. I'd have to spend quite some time, I think, reviewing it to give you a thorough understanding. Would you be okay leaving it with me for a couple of days? I can spend a couple of evenings looking over.
What do you think, Finlay? Should we
I mean,
leave it with him? Yeah.
assuming that he's someone that you know and that you trust, then I would be okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I trust you to, look after it. Shall we see? What's today's date, by the way?
Well,
Just
this is
to say.
Wednesday the 3rd. So
Okay.
maybe if you came back
Shall we-
Friday afternoon.
Shall we say Friday afternoon? Or does that suit you?
Yes, come sometime after lunchtime. I should be finished up for the day and I'll be able to give you my findings.
Thanks very much, Cadam. That's great.
So back with you guys at the asylum. The doctor has taken you through the asylum. Do you want to see Mr. Mackle or Mrs. Mackle first?
I say the missus.
Agreed.
She takes you into a room. There is half a dozen patients here, all sat in like big comfy dining chairs. Or lounge chairs maybe. Mrs. Mackle is sat on her own, just kind of like facing out one window at the east side. The others are like playing checkers and cards with each other. There's one orderly who's just like sat at one of the tables with a newspaper. He just gives you a nod as you come into the room. The doctor takes you up to her and says, Gabriella, you have some visitors. And he gently puts his hand on her shoulder. And she turns round and looks up at you. She's a woman of her late 50s, early 60s, but she looks terribly aged around the face and the eyes. Her hair is a shock of white. And you can see there's a faint trembling in her fingers. I'll leave you be. Just be careful what you say around her.
So I guess I probably shouldn't draw the symbol and ask her if she knows anything about it. Well, I'm gonna do it. I just take a piece of paper, nearby paper. I assume there's probably pen and paper around.
Yeah, there'll be stuff for them to draw with you.
Yeah. And I just draw the symbol that we saw earlier. The, like, triangle.
Her eyes go wide. She puts her left palm down, scrunches up the paper and hurls across the room. And she starts yelling incoherently. She starts pointing at you. Get out! Leave me! Go!
That might not have been the best approach.
I don't know them! Get away! The orderly stands up and moves towards you.
I'm used to dealing with dead people. I'm not very good at this social stuff.
The orderly puts his hands around Gabriella and tries to calm her and get her to stay in her seat.
I'm really sorry.
Oh no, you misunderstand. We just want to talk about your old house. We've got it, and we just want to make sure it's all up to spick and span.
She gets her head around the side of the orderly and just like spits at you.
Well, I mean, that's just rude.
You'll no have it. You'll no take me back there. Get away. I don't know these people.
Maybe we should talk to the husband.
So you leave Mrs. Mackle to be restrained as another orderly runs in the room past you.
Just causing mayhem and mischief behind.
Yeah.
You go along the corridor and you're taken up the stairs and along another corridor to the west side of the building. The door is opened very carefully and slowly by the nurse. But Victor, you have some visitors to see you. You see a man lying on the bed, half naked. His hair is long down to his shoulders. There's disgusting hair growing out of his nostrils and his ears. He's got his arms like crossed over as if he was wearing a straitjacket, but he's not wearing anything. And he's just kind of like rolling side to side.
Wait, he's not wearing anything, or he's not wearing a straitjacket?
He's not wearing anything. When the nurse sees him, she's like, "Oh, Victor, you've done it again." Starts picking up his clothes off the floor.
So Mildred, give the man his decency.
He starts going, "I'm just mumbling gibberish.
I turned my back just for modesty's sake.
The nurse does her best to like pull blankets over him and then get his clothes up.
Do we make out anything that he's saying?
Excuse-
Any words that
sorry.
we can pick out?
Sorry, sir, if you don't mind, could you help me hold him down a moment?
Of course. Paul just sort of trot on in to help out.
You lean down, pin him over by the shoulders, and he stops mumbling and babbling, and he leans in close to your ear, and he says, "By his own weapon is the devil worsted." And then he goes quiet and calms down.
Does he often say this? He's sort of as he turns to the nurse, just asking that.
Look, he's always saying strange things.
What kind of things does he say? I mean, anything he repeats on a regular?
Demons, dead people that are walking. I think he sees his dead parents sometimes.
Oh, that's tragic. Poor guy.
It is. Something horrific must have happened to him. Some sort of severe trauma, the doctor says.
How long have they been here?
Oh, it's at least 10 years, I think.
And there's been no hope of recovery for him?
Well, the doctors here are quite progressive in their means, and it's had a lot of success, but Mr. Mako's not been receptive.
Shame.
I'm loath to ask him about the house.
Has he
I've
ever
learned
been
my
receptive
lesson.
to being talked to?
I don't think anyone's ever visited him before.
Well, a first for everything, eh? Oh, Mildred. Ain't no harm in trying. He seems to know his words.
Mr. Mackle, would you talk with us for a bit?
Just draws in a deep breath and kind of like steadies himself.
Is there somewhere we could have a seat?
There'll be a couple of chairs you can pull up to the bed, yeah. The nurse like puts his clothes on the end of the bed and says, right, if you guys any trouble, just give me a shout. I'll just be outside.
So we've inherited a house. And we think you might be familiar with the house. It's in the Blackford area.
His eyes are kind of like trailing off around the room until you mention Blackford. And then they home in on you.
You might know it has a bit of a reputation. And we'd like to clear the house of said reputation. So that we might sell it.
He starts whispering gently, the house, the house, the house, the house, the house, the house, the house.
Do you know the house I'm talking about, Mr. Mackle?
The house, the house, the house, the house, the house, the house, the house.
At least he's hearing the words you're saying.
It's the devil. It's the devil, it's the devil, it's the devil, it's the devil. He looks up at you, Paul, straight in the eye. It's like the devil is worsted by his own weapon.
What happened in there? What caused you to leave?
He looks away off into the distance for a moment, as if he's like trying to remember or putting himself through the motions. And you see his eyes kind of wince, his face screw up uncomfortably. His eyes go wide and then they go small. And he starts to like bite his lower lip so hard it bleeds. It's like the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil. And then the last thing he says is, my poor boy.
Your boy.
Daniel.
What was your boy's name?
Daniel. And he starts to cry. And he grips onto you tightly, Paul. Uncomfortably tightly.
Oh, come now, lads. Let that go.
He never left. You see? You wouldn't let him leave.
Who wouldn't he?
He looks at you straight, wide-eyed. Says, the devil.
What'd the devil do to him?
My poor boy. Poor Daniel. He just starts to weep uncontrollably.
Mr. Mackle, we want to free Daniel.
He starts to talk, but it almost sounds like he's speaking backwards or in tongues. He turns on his left side and just stares out the window.
I don't think we're gonna get much more out of him.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Poor guy.
I slide the chair back and stand up to head out.
There's nothing else you can tell us, eh, mate, before we go?
He just lies staring at the window and mumbling to himself incoherently.
Well, maybe they can hurt you in here, mate. Paul gets up to go.
Step into hall, close the door, the nurse is like helping another patient into a room across the hall. Oh, how was he?
He seemed to get upset about Daniel.
Is that one of his children?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, it's a shame they never came to visit him.
So you don't know anything about his children?
I know they were taken into foster care when him and his wife were admitted. I have no idea where they are now.
So it's possible they're still living.
That may be worth looking into.
Indeed. I think we might head back to the library. See if we can get some information on the kids.
Yeah, you would have enough time in the day to do that.
I assume we'll just hop back on the bus.
Yep. It's going to be mid-afternoon probably when you get to the library. Busy as ever. So what is it you're looking for in the library?
Well, I guess we could start with some birth records, just find out who the kids are.
That's a point, and then try to track them down through like marriage records or things like that.
Yeah. I'd assume that they'd be adults by now.
Okay, Susan, so you can give me a... Well, you don't have library use. You can roll 1 dice for me. And Paul makes that a 2, which is still... Yeah, you can't find records for the Mako children. It could just be they weren't born in this city.
Right. And I assume any adoption records or anything like that are going to be sealed.
Or they might have been in the particular institution that they were admitted two or
Yeah.
few, and there's really no way to tell which one that may be.
I feel like we're at a bit of a dead end here. Any ideas, Paul?
Well, we can always try the pub and find out. I mean, you always have a nosy neighbour. I mean, I know we had
You're not wrong.
we had a Mabel down the road. She knew everything that happened in the wee village. Everything. So chances are, we talk to the right people, we'll find out where those kids went. We'll know exactly the home they went to, or the orphanage. Now, there's an idea. We could try an orphanage.
True. Is there an orphanage in Edinburgh somewhere? I would assume so.
There definitely would have been. But nearest pub to that place is again the Blackford Inn.
Not opposed to the idea of the pub. Have a gander for maybe the oldest person in the pub. There's usually a few old fellows who are happy to chat over a couple of pints.
In terms of orphanages, there would have been several run by the Catholic Church, as well as probably a couple of charitable ones, or run as a kind of side on to the hospitals.
Well, let's stop by the pub. We might run into a priest while we're there.
Finlay and Mildred, after you leave the book with the other lecturer, where do you go?
Where was it? We said we were going to meet Mildred and Morgan.
We were going to just wait
Susan
at the
Paul.
university, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, that's what I thought. Well, is there anything else that we can do in the meantime while we're waiting for them?
There is archives, isn't there, at the university as well, on people, isn't there? Like, maybe like the forensics department. We could have sort of a look at, the Robert Barlow who committed suicide. Maybe find out any information on that. Do you think they would keep records of that?
That's more likely to be kept at the police station.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe in the library at the university, or the history department.
I mean, you can try and see if the police station will let you look at some of the records, if that's the path you want to go down.
What do you think, Finlay?
I think we would probably need to be able to prove that we had a direct connection to the man who committed suicide before we were able to get anything from the police. I mean, we could try to prove some kind of connection, but I don't know, I guess we would need like documentation that would show our relationship to them. Like, I mean, we could try and, I mean, if you think it's worth pursuing, we could try and get his like death certificate to find out if he had any immediate I don't know, would we be able to get his death certificate from like public archives? That we could try and like find out if he had any immediate family who we could say that we were related to, and then try that way to find out if there were any records from the police that we could access. I don't know, that sounds like it might be a tall order for what to do with the rest of the day, though, was the only thing.
I think we just go and get the sort of death certificate and then maybe track it that way and maybe talk to Robert's parents.
That could be worth a try. If we find out if he has any immediate family, that could be a good start. Yeah. Where would we actually get the death certificate? Would that be the library or the city archives?
City archives. That'd be on.
But
So,
yeah.
do you want to we'll just, because it's going to take Paul and Susan a bit of time to get back. So do you want to just go to the city archives just now and?
Sorry, sure, we could give it a try. We could, the woman that worked at the city archives seemed quite helpful, so that sounds like it might be a good plan.
Okay. So, we're proceeding to the city archives. So.
Right. Okay. Do you both want to give me a 2d6 roll then? Okay, so you're going to spend the rest of the day there, searching through records to try and find the links for Robert Barlow. You guys are you other two, you are going to the pub, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Blackford Inn, same guy that was there earlier in the day. It's a lot busier now. People are getting off their shift and coming in for their after work drink, which is everyone. Yeah, it's kind of jovial bustle as more and more people come in and people recognise each other and all the rest of it. So, who do you want to speak to or ask?
Probably, I imagine it would be sort of like trying to join in the discussion and try to gossip. And try and ask about the house. Because you've heard some stories about it and you'd like to nosy about it. Because I imagine the barkeep's going to be absolutely mental busy, so I guess it's probably go from group to group to just sort of ask general questions.
Mm-hmm. And what information exactly is it you're trying to pinpoint?
What happened to the kids? Like, where are they now? Because you heard we heard they went and they got all foster homes and stuff like that. And what was it like before they got institutionalized and stuff and sectioned?
Just looking at skills here. Right, Paul, so you have roll 2 dice, pick the worst. And that's better than Susan's. Because Susan is unattractive.
Yeah.
Right, and roll 2d6. Oh, 4. It's not bad.
So between different groups of people, you're able to ascertain that the children were taken to Dean Orphanage. And from there, they were either given to foster homes, or they were deported, as many orphans were, to different Commonwealth countries, including Australia. But it would be the Dean Orphanage, which is a Catholic-run one, which would have the specific records what happened to them, if they were able to give you that information. But nobody's heard of them locally since then, so they've definitely moved out of the area.
This goddamn music gives me anxiety with like John when he's quiet and then sort of the music just builds up. It's like
It's the same bit, it goes quiet every time, isn't it? So they'll be asking around trying to find that information, and while they're doing that, you guys in the archive, you managed to find Barlow's death certificate, which is ruled by suicide, by hanging. His mother, father, 2 sisters, and brother were all emigrated shortly afterwards to Canada.
Sounds like kind of a dead end.
You can see the father sold up his business, and they left.
Are there any details of what's business? Sorry.
Just gonna say, is there any details like their name? How old would they be?
How old would the parents be, or the family?
As in the sisters and brother.
They would be in their mid to late 20s.
Okay. And so we have their names, don't we? So
Yeah.
There's name.
I didn't hear you because you let go of the button.
I was gonna say, if you can tell me the family members' names.
Sure, give me a second. The 2 sisters were Elizabeth and Caroline Barlow, and the brother is George. Can't hear you again.
What's the date of the what's called the brother's what's called his date of birth? What's his date of birth?
Robert Barlow's date of birth.
Yes.
Be 1897, I think. Hang on, 26. No, it'd be like 1890.
Do you have a day and a month?
4th of July.
For one of the sisters and the brother, do you have a date of birth for them?
I can give you it, but it's irrelevant to anything.
So Caroline's date of birth.
Just like add or subtract a couple of years to the brother's date of birth.
I'm gonna say the 26th of June, 1890.
Okay, but you're just, I'm saying you're fixating on something that's not relevant.
Oh, I mean, I think I can possibly see where this is headed. I mean, I suspect there may be some falsified documents upcoming so that we could, talk to the police about our dear departed brother.
Would you need to return home to forge said documents?
Yes, I would need to go home for that. That would be something I would need to do overnight.
And how do you approach the performing of this activity to your colleague here?
I think I would just say that, if we really want to commit to this, I know someone who could potentially get us false papers that we could use to talk to the police about this incident, they might be willing to disclose more to us if we said we were part of his family.
What was the mother and father's name?
It doesn't matter. They're away. They're in Canada.
I'm just gonna say their name was Margaret and Fred.
If it makes you feel better, yeah.
Does it also have like the location he was born as well?
Yes, Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. What's the point in your listing of details here?
She's
I'm just
fleshing
being
out the world.
thorough.
What's that?
She's fleshing out the world for herself.
No, what did you say, Laura?
I'm just being thorough so that you know, when the two characters get like the fake documentation.
Yeah, but the fake documentation will have all the details. You don't have to like recite it for anyone.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to bog down in mutating that's irrelevant.
So
Yeah.
remember Caroline and George Finley?
I think, yep, we've got all of the details we'll need. Yep, we can. I'll make some discreet inquiries about this.
I think we've gone on as long as I was planning to go on today. So we might as well wrap up at this point because you're going to go home and work on documents.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Seems like a good point to leave it if everyone else is
Yeah.
happy to.
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
Yay, documents. God, this music. Oh, every so often when something's happening, it was starting to build the suspense. It's like,
Yeah, I got that as well. I was thinking, is something dramatic going to happen here?
I don't actually have an actual archive of all the records here, honey.